In the final two steps of the planning cycle, planners consider the implementation and impact of a project. Step 5 is the monitoring phase. This is planned in detail at the beginning of the project and then managed throughout the project lifespan. Let's consider the basics of monitoring using a simple example. Imagine that you want to travel from point A to point Z. First, you need to acquire the necessary resources. For example, a car or money to buy fuel. These are called the inputs. Now you can plan the journey, the route you will travel, how many people will be travelling, and how much fuel is needed. You can also estimate the time for travelling. Once the journey starts, the implementation of the plan, every few hours you look at the fuel gauge, check the distance travelled, and perhaps ask how the passengers are doing. This is monitoring. You may have planned to assess this information at several points along the way. Here you decide if the car needs to be refuelled or if a break is necessary to rest the passengers. Information on fuel, distance, and how the passengers are doing are referred to as indicators. Indicators tell you how the journey is going. Monitoring activities check if a project is proceeding according to the plan. Are you doing what you said you will do? Monitoring is important because what gets monitored is more likely to get done. If you don't monitor performance, you can't tell success from failure. If you can't see success, you can't reward it. And if you can't recognise failure, you can't correct it. Finally, if you can't demonstrate results, you can't sustain support for your actions. In any plan or programme, achievement is aligned with completion of objectives. There are usually several activities that need to be carried out for an objective to be achieved. Each activity requires inputs such as finances, resources, and so on, and for specific tasks to be completed. This is known as the process. Inputs in a diabetic retinopathy screening programme include correctly equipping service providers to enable them to undertake their required tasks. As a result of following the process, the planned activities and objectives can be achieved. This in turn leads to an outcome and an impact. Indicators measure what or how much has been done. Process indicators provide information on tasks done and inputs consumed as part of activities to achieve objectives. Process indicators are collected regularly on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis. Outcome indicators are used during a project to assess if the path taken is working well and if changes need to be made to the plan's objectives. These are collected over longer intervals, once or twice a year. An impact indicator is an indication of change that has resulted from a plan. Impact indicators are collected and reported on at the end of a project, after the objectives have been completed. In a programme, it is important to decide what information should be collected and when. Planners must decide on what could be monitored, what should be monitored, and what must be monitored. Here are some examples of process indicators. Number of persons with diabetes screened per month. Number of persons with sight-threatening diabetic retinopathy identified and referred per month. Number of patients treated for sight-threatening diabetic retinopathy per month. Here are some examples of outcome indicators. The percentage of people with diabetes who are provided with screening each year. This is known as the coverage. The percentage of people with diabetes and sight-threatening diabetic retinopathy who are referred and accept treatment per year. The key impact indicator that the programme will aim for is the ongoing coverage of the DR screening service. That is, the percentage of the population with diabetes being provided with annual DR screening compared to the baseline. Golden rules for monitoring. Do not collect too many monitoring indicators or collect indicators too often. Use all the monitoring indicators you collect and discard indicators that aren't used. Use the monitoring indicators at the level that they are collected at, as process, outcome, or impact indicators. Educate staff about the need to collect monitoring indicators. And don't make things worse. Don't destroy a monitoring system that works. Managing monitoring. Planners need to decide who collects the indicators at each level. Once the data has been collected, where are the reports sent and who will review them? And how will the programme act on the feedback from the review? These are key details that must be managed by the programme or project manager. Appropriate selection and training of key people to carry out the monitoring is essential. Monitoring reports are collected and reflected on by the programme or project manager on a regular basis. It's important that they also give feedback to staff about how the plan is doing. The manager reports to the national coordinator. At the end of the programme period, it is the final responsibility of the national coordinator to identify resources and address the impact of the programme or project. Collecting the right data is important to guide the project or programme and its success. There is a saying that if you put rubbish in, you get rubbish out. So planners must remember to select indicators properly. In summary, monitoring is important because it improves accountability for the use of funds and resources, improves performance to achieve outcomes, and provides a system for recording lessons learned. These can then be shared to improve strategies in the future.